Hello and welcome to another long-awaited episode of The mUFF.
mUFF power!
Are you sure it's been long awaited?
No, everyone's been dreading it. But I mean, everyone's now long awaiting it.
It does come around once a month.
Yeah, it does. We all wanted to be in it. We all wanted to be sitting there.
Yeah, does Auntie Muff pay us a visit once a month?
Yeah.
And then everybody ends up cranky, and then...
Well, the good news is that every time we do one of these, it means that, as promised on mUFF, Joe and Caleb will be watching Unlimited.
I believe that bullshit when I see it.
Yeah, they did say it in the last episode. They wanted us to push this episode out as fast as they can so they can get all their extra side shit they just choose not to do done.
And considering this game that we're now going to review doesn't exist anymore, well done, boys.
Yeah, we got that exclusivity, man.
I know, this game is so exclusive that we're probably the only three people.
No. There was somebody else playing with us when we were doing it.
Well, that's good.
So
well, anyway, I am your host, Bill.
This is Kryn.
This is Jacob.
Bumfluff the third. No announcement.
Is he ever not?
Anyway, that was a nice private inside joke that no one's going to get at all. So yes, we are back, and this week we are reviewing the now unfortunately defunct game.
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate if you want to play all the FF games, and you're never going to now.
No, it is not an FF game, but for some reason we played it.
Hey man, Noctis is on the title screen.
It's fucking retconned into becoming an FF game now. Because
it finally shut down all their services on June 26th. So
yes,
as of this recording, yesterday.
Yes, today is 27th for us. God knows when we'll be released into the world of UFF. That normally takes an extra couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. But yes, yesterday, June 26th, services were unfortunately cancelled. Sad times. Goodbye, King's Knight. Oh yeah, that's a good point. We should probably say it is called King's Knight, Wrath of the Dark Dragon.
A rebuilding. God.
So where do you guys want to start with this game?
It's a rebuilding, repurpose of the original King's Knight, which both me and Bill played.
Yes, that's a good point. So should we review King's Knight, the original NES game first?
Yeah, we got about 30 seconds.
I guess.
I love that.
It sucks, it's hard, and it's a pain in the ass to beat.
It is. I use save states to get me to the end.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit NES games are bullshit hard when you get to the final levels. All NES games are bullshit hard.
How did you guys end up playing that game, by the way? Did you use like a mod, an emulator?
I own an official copy.
Ain't nobody has a Steam box, Grant. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I know one person has a Steam box. I don't own a Steam box.
Who owns a Steam box?
My cousin.
What? I'm sure.
Bad investment. Very bad investment. I'm pretty sure he kickstarted an Ouya.
I remember that. I thought about that. It was only $100. It was not a bad idea, but it's like...
Tell him to pull his money for the Atari VCS now.
Yeah.
Nah, pump money into it, man.
Has there been any information about that at all? I was actually wondering.
Nothing new recently except for fucking management just going after everybody, giving it shit. Like, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
Because I didn't hear anything at E3 or Tokyo Game Show. Or...
They have nothing. They literally have nothing right now.
But yeah, so the original King's Knight is a good old-fashioned NES game, which I believe was is it the first ever game Square released?
No, it is
Ever?
not.
No. I don't think so. That doesn't seem right.
Oh, I don't know. Wait, I wonder where I got that from then.
Far from it. But anyway, it's a top-down shooter, basically.
Yeah, it is.
Except for you have a character of a sprite shooting orbs.
Yes, so you basically have 4 characters in King's Knight. Each one has a level. You've got to make it to the end of the level, and the level is basically top-down scrolling towards you. You've got to destroy all the creatures and stuff coming at you. You collect power-ups as you go by destroying the scenery that's around you. It's a bit of fun, but if your character dies before the end of the level, you move on to the next character and their level.
And then you just say fuck it to the game, because when you figure out at the end you kind of got to keep all 4 of them fucking alive.
Yes, because the fifth and final level, if you've got all of your characters alive, they all sort of form a little weird triangle, and then there are like little floor tiles that you can step on, and it switches who your front character is, who's the one firing. So each one is strong against certain enemies in the last level. So you do kind of need them all alive, and I think they all have a special ability as well, which they unlock.
Yeah.
Like one of them turns into a massive dragon and you get to fly over a lake of lava. So yeah, if you don't keep them all alive, you're basically stuffed. You've got no chance of finishing this game. But it was fun. It's also available on the Wii Virtual Console if you've still got credits. This game you can still buy.
Wow.
Unlike the remaster King's Knight Wrath of the Dark Dragon, which sadly is now defunct, as we have already mentioned several times. You will never be able to play this game. Sorry, folks.
Unless somebody begs and pleads with Square, but I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe with another couple $1 million, maybe. They'll think about it.
No one's going to do that.
They may try to
I'm not going to donate the money. Who's going to donate the money? Not me. I'm not.
You've already donated enough.
I know. I've already given them my $30. We're good. I'm good.
You're $30.
We don't mention all the bravest.
Yes, we do. We keep mentioning it every time.
It's almost like our catchphrase, isn't it? How much did you spend on all the bravest, Cream? $27.
$28. Too much money. Too much money for my own pocket. Don't ever pay for that game. Don't ever. Free or nothing. But if you want to, you can go back and listen to a review about it and see how much I'm pissed off about that.
Our first ever review. That was so long ago.
Yeah. So, repurpose.
Based on your guys' information about that game, there's actually a lot of similarities with the new version that's come out for the mobile. You guys were talking about like group power, and there was a special trigger moves for each independent character. There's a lot of similarities for the game.
Yeah, the actual levels play exactly like the old version, except it's all like 3D and you've got a slight angle to the camera.
Is everything still a top-down shooter?
Yeah,
it's all still a top-down shooter. It plays exactly the same. They have really, they've ported the game over fairly well.
Right, but do you guys end up keeping the character, all 4 of them, on the screen at the same time, or do you do what the new one does and swap them out?
No. So, on the NES game, they were all on the final. So on the first 4 levels, you're only playing as the one character from beginning to end.
So you're playing as Ray Jack.
Yes, and then at the very end, on the final level, on the 5th level, like I say, they all sort of stand in a triangle, which is really annoying because it basically makes you like a huge target.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they hit one of the characters on the outside of the triangle, it still counts as a hit. So it makes it a lot more difficult because you've suddenly got a huge, 4 times the space that you've got to keep covered.
You have linked HP between all 3 of the characters to play on the screen?
Yes. You basically just become one giant character.
So basically what we're saying is King's Knight OG is way more difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Bill, to answer your question earlier, King's Knight was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th game Square made.
Oh, I wonder where I got that from. Maybe I think it might have been their first big hit.
Maybe
in Japan. I don't know. I'm sure I got that from somewhere. Anyway, I'm not the font of all knowledge when it comes to Square. That's Jake's job.
Right.
So, this is as we said, this is the remake, and this was announced by Square on September the 18th, 2016. And it was released for Android and OS devices. and it was officially released in September 13th, 2017, which I believe was late. It got pushed along with Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, a lot of stuff got pushed with Final Fantasy 15.
So, yep, it was announced at the September 2016 Tokyo Game Show, and it was promotional material placed in the Final Fantasy 15 universe, along with Justice Monsters 5, rest in peace.
Yeah, another one of our list of games that we really can't get to unless we're all willing to commit to the PlayStation version in the FF15.
No, because that is FF15, so it doesn't count as a mobile game.
True, it doesn't, but it is literally plays the exact same way as the mobile game.
It doesn't. I did play like about an hour of the mobile game, and when you play the one on Final Fantasy that's actually in Final Fantasy 15, although it looks the same and it kind of feels it doesn't feel the same at all. It feels like it plays completely differently. I think touchscreen versus a remote control, it's a completely different game, really. Yeah.
I know we've said the same thing before because we've also had that same kind of problem when me, Joe, and Schweiss were playing on FF11 on the PC. But some of them, some people have given them pointers, and some of them have told them to play on a PS3 controller or PS4 controller. Mm-hmm. So you can mod it to play as a regular game on a system versus PC. So
yes.
Do we consider that a similarity between the two of them, or is because the game style is different, it's a whole different game entirely because it's not on the same playing module?
I just think it's part of Final Fantasy 15. But we can't play the mobile version anyway.
True, we can't.
Justice Monsters has already been shut down a long time ago. That was even worse than this.
Yeah. Considering how quickly all of these extra things in the 15 universe are shutting down early, really speaks to the 15 universe.
Yes. So, I mean, King's Night was shut down. Was started on September 13th, 2017 in North America. That was when it was released. So 2017, right? Not even a year ago, and yeah. Game was shut down yesterday, less than a year after its worldwide release.
Thanks for putting a countdown clock on us, Square.
I wasn't ready to play this game yet, but there we go. And also for reference, it was given a 3 out of 10 on IGN. And a 3 out of 10.
There's an actual review. Oh, shit.
I think that's giving it too much credit. 3 out of 5. I'd probably give it at best 2.
Well, I guess if Square has money to pay IGN, a review will always come.
Well, IGN is always there to always sit there and just like, hi, Square, we're your best friends. We'll do anything you want us to.
They give it 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
And still
Nintendo
too high.
Life gave it. Nintendo Life gave it
3 out of 5.
No, Corinne, no.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not paying attention. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm still tired.
Right. So who knows what happens in the story of this game? Because I don't.
Basically, the story
bad guys try and do something, and then the good guys tries
to eat princess.
Stop it by the name of Rayjack.
Rayjack.
As much as I understand about the story, it's not a very deep story. It's not very complicated. It's simply the same 4 characters from the first game are put into the same journey quest. They've all scattered. So you got to play through them again as the story goes. You start as Rayjack, then you go to Kalava, and then you go to Barusa, and then you go to Toby, and then they all come back together again at the end for the final fight. And their entire purpose is to figure out what the hell these masked people that are kind of like Kingdom Hearts characters from Organization 13. And they're just screwing with people.
Good comparison.
And they're just sitting there just like fighting mobs. And they don't understand why. And they get all the way to the end. And they're like, oh, here's why. I'm like, seriously? You're just fucking with us. To summon an asshole.
Yeah. Each of the chapters is just disposition between 2 characters.
And there's literally no payoff after the final fight because there's a to be continued.
No, there's not gonna be.
No.
So I think it's something to do with, doesn't a dragon steal a princess to begin with?
That's from the NES version. The princess is never captured in that game, ever.
Yep, she's just chilling with the king.
She's been fine the entire time since the NES world time. And
doesn't she go missing?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. What happens is that each of the independent characters go on their own little journey, and then the first part is Ray-Jack is in town in the kingdom, and then some of the citizens tell them that there's a fiend right outside of town, which is like a monster mob or whatever.
That was all I would get from this game.
And he would literally go out and go figure out where it came from, and then one of those Organizational 13 guys shows up and it says, ha ha ha, I did bad things, find me, ha ha ha. And they run away, and you have to go chase them down.
Yeah, I like the fact you occasionally get dialogue just between the 13 guys.
Yeah.
You just suddenly get a random bit of dialogue where they're all just talking to each other and go, should we go mess with some people? Yeah, just go mess with some people.
Yeah, again, this game has like no payoff for that. It's like it's some pieces of like I don't want to do some dissection between Kingdom Hearts and this, but when you have Organizational 13 moments in Kingdom Hearts, at least you get to fight them literally, and you actually get to talk with them, and you actually get to have differential like character plots. These guys, I have no idea who they are. I don't know what their names are. I don't know what their faces are. I don't know nothing. There's no payoff. They're just like, I'm just going to be a huge pain in your ass for no good reason. That's it. And you don't even get to talk about it. They just send a mob for a shield right in front of them, and you're like, well, I'm dealing with this. And then once the mob's dead, the guy's like, curses. Oh, cliche. Curses, you beat me. Oh, my God. And I run away. And you just keep on going and going and going through the story. It's the same way. It's like a rinse and repeat. In and out. Just like every sex joke I can ever think about. I'm sure you guys have probably had the same kind of scenario. You guys are probably just like I was. Like, this story was so disinteresting, so boring that I did not care. I just did what you guys did, which just press click, or even better.
Actually, no, I couldn't do that. I decided to create a whole fucking outline here of this goddamn story. So I didn't get to do that, Kryn.
I made Jake read the story because I did even better than you, Kryn. There was a button at the very top right of the screen that says skip story.
I saw the skip.
And every time the story popped up, I was just like,
I saw it. I read the story. It reads almost verbatim for everything that Jake put down, and I'm totally happy that he put down the story.
I read the first two chapters.
Thank you for all my work.
Yeah, I read the first two chapters. I started just skipping everything, and that's when it's just like eventually it's like, oh, there's a big dragon at the end.
Yeah, like based on all of our episodes before, I've been thinking that this is just based on the Dimensions 2 concept that we had before that we released recently. Please go listen to it. That reading off the entire synopsis plot of the story is not really in the best interest of the show because it's so dull. Like, it's one person just rambling on.
Well, people need to realize how dumb it fucking is, and that it puts Jacob in the sunken place. So if I can make other people go in this sunken place the same way as the tapping on the fucking teacup as reading the story and the plot line of Dimensions 2, then so be it. So be it.
Right, but
so are we done with this? Are we done with King's Knight story then?
Yes, that's the entire thing.
That was it. There's nothing else. This is not like even remotely like.
Oh, I'm so glad I hit skip.
Yeah, I gave you the synopsis. I didn't have to read the 4 chapters. It's such a short game. It really was.
It really was a short game.
Click. And the only difficult parts that I ever got of it were like the quote unquote bosses that you can technically live through, unless you came to the ones that I had was there's like 2 bosses where they have 2 forms after one another. One's the revived version where you can just like fight through it and you can revive and keep killing it. But then there's this one where it's a top-down like runaway scene.
Oh god, it's a fucking demon wall fight.
Those ones are the ones that kept screwing with me because I wasn't strong enough to kill them. There's like 2 of those in the game. And that's it.
Yeah, It wasn't fun. And I was at max level too.
Should we talk about gameplay then?
Yes, we should.
So the gameplay of this game plays very simply. It's top down. And yeah, so you basically start a mob. You're top down on the level. There's scenery, like little bits of mountain and woodland around. You move along, you fire at the scenery. Scenery blows up, you pick up little power-ups along the way. There's little medals you have to collect. We don't have to collect, but you collect just loads of crap along the way to help you out. You can collect life and health and defense power-ups and weapon power-ups. Yeah. You fight all your way through the enemies and destroying all the scenery. Occasionally you find a little ladder that takes you downstairs into a little underground section, which is a bit groovy. Then you come back up. And then you reach the end.
If the auto battler finds it.
Yeah, if the auto battler finds it. Yeah. The auto battler was quite an interesting thing. I'll come back to that. You get all the way to the end, and then normally there's a huge mob that you have to destroy before you can move on, or as Crinton was saying, there's a big boss. And the big boss is basically just a giant enemy. It's just a big sprite on the screen that generally fires at you quite rapidly or chases after you down a corridor.
Just like any other top-down shooter, there's just one mob that sits at the top of the screen, doesn't go anywhere. He just throws a bunch of little orbs at you, like a bajillion at a time, just like any top-down shooter. You're supposed to dodge.
They were quite animated at the time. There was a big ball that kept coming after me, and dragons that kept flying around and stuff.
They did have this one little nice concept of where a jump button works. So instead of just trying to dodge everything, you can jump over it.
Well, you just sort of move into it.
Okay, but I'm going to bring this up now by sidetracking a bit. If you're trying to play this on a PC because for some goddamn reason your cell phone won't play it.
Yeah, no.
No,
we decided to spend the money and get the new phone, and we all got it to work correctly, but some of us just don't have the funding for new phones.
Some of us don't spend $500 on a phone.
It's $10 a month for a contract. $10.
Or you just let your work buy you one.
Yeah, it's even more cheating than getting the cheap phone. You didn't spend a dime.
We've got the same phone, Crin. Except for mine was given to me.
Oh.
I don't like contracts. I live off the grid, man. I actually don't even need cell phone service. I just apparently need a cell phone for these fucking games.
You live off the grid. I use a man who has 2 podcasts that are out to the public. 3 if you count this one.
That's the greatest bad description of off the grid I've ever heard of. I live off the grid, but I'm constantly on the internet. I'm constantly on my phone talking to my friends.
Yeah.
The government isn't paying attention to anything mobile FF related. Just saying.
I do worry. Are you going to be able to play the next game with us, or are you going to have to download BlueStacks?
Okay,
again?
What I ended up I didn't delete BlueStacks, so I downloaded BlueStacks and thankfully got King's Knight to work. However, the way that it's set up with touchscreen controls, it is impossible for you to move the character and jump at the same time because, you don't have 2 fucking mouses.
Ah.
So, the auto battler is sometimes a piece of shit too, and the character would just stay in the goddamn corner shooting at things for 30 minutes. And so I had to somehow go out of my way to move the character out of the way and have him jump over like a little mountain. And that was impossible to do.
Yeah, the auto battler was quite good. At times. Yeah, like you say, at other times, your character would just suddenly sit in one place doing nothing. And yeah, so basically you just hit the auto battler and then it will control your character for you. Just move him around the screen, fire at stuff. It was generally quite intuitive, but it was very simplistic. So that's why it would keep going wrong all the time. But yeah. But you could also, part of the gameplay was you'd have a second character following you around. That would be from the friends list.
Ah, yes, that.
How did you guys find that? Because I just kept finding whoever was level 17, just plonk them in my team so that they would just wipe whatever there was.
I didn't look at it by level, but I looked at attack output.
Essentially, I just went into the purchase mode in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and I just started summoning new characters, and I kept looking for a 4 or above star character, and just as soon as I got them, I took all the books that you collected through playing the game, and then just crammed out as many levels as I could out of it, and then I threw an hourglass on them, and then I ran through like the same level I did previously, like 5 or 6 times, and then cranked them out to max.
So to add a bit of context to that, what you'd have is that you'd have 4 characters in your party that you take into a fight, and during the fight you got the option in the top right corner to switch between the different characters, or if your character would die, it would automatically switch over to the next one. And what you do is you'd have a very similar system to Brave Exvius. There was a pool system, so you'd gradually collect crystals as the game goes on. You could spend those to pull a character. You'd get a random character, which generally seemed to range from a maximum level of 50 to 70, depending on what sort of stars they were.
Depending on the stars, yeah.
Yes, and then you could also pull weapons as well. So depending if you could match a decent weapon to the character, they became quite powerful. But you gradually... So there's 2 currencies. I should remember this. So there's XP to level up your characters.
Right.
As you go through the game, you'd pick up these books. You'd have a novice manual,
intermediate manual, and expert.
Intermediate and expert manuals, and you would use those on your characters to basically boost their levels. Kind of.
Each one has a different level of EXP accumulated to that book. As you use it, it just gives more experience.
Yes.
And you can double down on it through the playing if you use an hourglass, and there's different hourglasses in the game which allow for double coins, double XP, double...
Yes.
Basically, we were having a lot of shit thrown at us because they were shutting the thing down in 3 days.
Yeah. So you'd use that to basically power level your characters right up to maximum. But even having them at maximum, sometimes the end levels were quite difficult anyway. It will depend whether your character was suited to that level in a way. But then the weapons as well, you could upgrade your weapons to make them more powerful. And to do that, you needed to use another currency in game, which is called Zell, which apparently grows on trees.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. There was just a little page that you could go to where there was a Zell tree, and you would harvest the Zell from the tree, and then every now and then, once you've got enough Zell, the tree would level up and get bigger.
Oh yeah, we got enough Zell, level 30.
I think I was like level 15 or something.
I think
well, somebody had to, do the whole story.
Hey, I did the whole story. I just didn't read it.
I read the whole story and I did it.
I joke this game to hell. But yeah, so you kind of you'd have to power up your 4 characters and then just go through the game. Then you'd have a 5th guest character that belonged to someone else out there in the King's Knight universe. And that was kind of that's the depth the gameplay went to. Oh no, actually, because you'd have a different starting character, and your different characters have different abilities.
Yeah, who did you guys get as your starting characters, by the way?
I got Karen, who was a cat lady, but she was a monk, and she was awesome. She had really high attack and defense, and she also had a really good. Another part of the gameplay. Your characters have 2 magic spells, and they have different effects as you're going through the level. So Karen had a really good one where she had 2 fire spells. One of them wiped out an area in front of her, and the second one wiped out a 360-degree area around her.
Oh, okay.
So when you get absolutely
swamped. You had a DPS character. Okay.
Yeah. So when you get absolutely swamped, boom, clear. She was great.
For me, I had this chick named Stella, and she. I knew you could do that. She's a mage, and apparently she's like she's just a human, wears like a green robe, and has this wand that looks like a dead tree, and essentially she has 2 spells. One is a giant wind blast that makes like 6 hurricanes and throws it at the monster.
Yes.
And I had her.
And the other one was like a healing spell, which could heal your party. So she was my main character throughout the entire game, because every time my character would lose damage until I got better characters. I got a really fun one later on who was like a demon hunter with a cursed helmet, and she would do the special dark damage that would like throw like burn black flames at people, or like huge like a psychic force from the helmet, and then I would just flip flop between the two of them.
I got Leo the lion at one point. he was good fun. He was just a big lion with a scar down his face.
See,
I just thought it was funny because he was called Leo and he looked like a lion.
I also got a character called Pumpkin. He's like a little, it's like a fat Vivi with a giant bow around his waist, and he would shoot Halloween-style pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, and fling it, and apparently does fire damage somehow. You throw a pumpkin and it blows up, I guess.
Like it does fire damage. It's got a candle inside it.
I guess. But there's that, and then I think I had who was it? The chick I had just between this. I had a healer, and then I had. It was on my phone. Why am I looking? Just go back to my phone. I had the picture of it.
Yeah, I had some sort of weird floating girl who's. I think that was Jake's main character, wasn't it?
I don't recall. I don't remember a single one of these characters that ever was in my party, except for when you started to describe Stella. Stella is somebody who is a main character, so we all should have had her in the party.
Yeah, she was in mine. She was bloody useless, though. I hated her.
Yeah.
I replaced her later on with Leo the lion.
So I believe all of my party were ones that were given to me throughout the story.
Oh, yeah. I also had the Octavia, the female knight who's best friends with Rayjack, who does a lot of water damage, which was really helpful on the final boss because all he shot was fire damage. And I'm like, hey.
I also, the characters were interesting. Well, no, they weren't interesting at all. But they all had like their own little side. You can do side quests for each characters.
Yeah.
And have a little side plot, which helped you farm materials.
And also gave you the ability to access their second ability, because without the storyline quest, you couldn't get the second skill.
You could, I think, but it wouldn't give you the materials. Like you'd farm the materials really slowly playing the game. But if you go into the individual characters,
no. There's in their bio for the character, because I was trying to figure this out for earlier. The character has a set list of skills, and inside the skill is their main skill, which you get right off the bat, and then there's like body enhancements, and then defense enhancements, and then HP enhancements, and then there's a second skill later on that says you're only able to activate if you do a certain quest.
Oh, yep, you're right. I remember that now.
And then you have to do their storyline quest to unlock it, and then you gain access to the extra stuff. You can power it up from their skills, but you can't unlock the base skill itself to do anything with it. So it's like having a power-up that goes nowhere if you don't have the story unlocked.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Not anymore. All the time's gone. It's gone.
It's in another dimension.
and then you go and see Kronos again.
No.
Oh, I'm having flashbacks.
No.
Jake, I've just reached your sunken place. So
just keep floating, man. Just keep floating.
Any more thoughts?
Somebody will get you out of there.
So you have the side questing. Oh, did anybody bother to use the multiplayer aspect at all?
No.
What? There's a multiplayer?
Yeah, there's a co-op mode where you can play with a group of 4 people. If you manage to get the code working correctly, you can actually get them to play in the game with you and then run the same levels as everybody else in the story with the extra character, and it doubles down on your XP rather than using the hourglass. And you can use the hourglass to boost you guys up at the same time. The problem is use hourglass. Well, fundamentally you probably did, because the princess probably activated one for you when you started the game.
That don't count.
That's the multiplayer, and then there's the storyline, and there's the character creator, and then there's the
character creator
or character picker from the teams.
You mean party management?
Yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, there just wasn't much. I mean, have you guys got any thoughts on gameplay? Did you enjoy it? Because
the part I liked is the auto battle. Literally, the auto battle does exactly what I wanted it to do. You push the button and you let it go.
See, I found it wasn't controlly enough. My characters didn't do what I wanted them to do enough. Like, it would work, but I preferred controlling it, especially once you get into chapter 5, like the end of the game.
Yeah, once you got to later levels, controlling it was more accurate to do what it necessarily was, but auto battle for the beginning of the game was the way I wanted it. I want you to literally play the game for me, and I don't have to look at you.
See, I will admit, I did enjoy playing the battles a bit.
Yeah.
I thought they were quite fun. It was a little bit rewarding killing the bosses, but it has the same problem that Brave Exvius has, where if you do die on the boss, you can just spend your Crystalla or whatever it's called, and your whole team is revived exactly where you was, and the boss's health is exactly where it was. So it's just, as long as you've got enough Crystalla, it's impossible to lose this game.
I don't know why Square has that problem with horrible scaling with bosses. Like, what was so hard about making a location you can just grind to get better levels? What's so hard about that? Why do you have to make it so?
They want you to spend money.
Spend money. Why?
Freemium.
Why do you have to do that?
I do like the fact, though, that when we started playing this game, the shop was already closed. It was impossible for us to spend.
Good things. Good.
I know.
Spend money. Great. But
we just didn't need to eliminate the option for Krinatal at all.
Great.
Always.
I do make some good money, but I'm not spending any more money. ATB is literally the last time spending money on game.
Well, you say that. You spent $15 on Dimensions 2.
They forced my hand. You're just buying the game. The $28 I spent was beyond the.
You're referring to microtransactions.
Yeah, microtransactions. That was the $28 for me.
So, did you guys have any problems playing the game?
Other than that, top-down runaway season, no. So for everybody else's game time in this, did you all feel like the game was like long enough, or do you feel it was just a bit too short?
I actually felt it was kind of just right. It worked. The game time worked out really well for me. It was. It wasn't drawn out too much, so I was able to get through it fairly quickly. I think I'd probably say maximum to get from beginning to end on the one playthrough, which obviously no one's ever going to do again. About 10 hours. Well, I think I plowed into this. It wasn't too bad.
10 hours
if it
too
works
long.
For you, if it works, it's 10 hours. If it don't work for you and it has to keep restarting over and over and over again, it does. Because it took me what appears to be almost 3 months to play this damn game because that shit wouldn't work. Every fucking day. Every day I would load this game. Every day would just connect and says load. Okay? 1%. 5 minutes later.
Reload.
10%. 5 minutes later. 30%. 30 minutes later. 45%. An hour. 85%. Crash. Reload. Not enough space. Start over. 1%.
Give me fuel. Give me fire. So you keep saying reload.
Fire with fire.
I wish it was. I wish it was my desire, but it's apparently not. It's literally just a huge
harvester of sorrow.
Oh my god, we've actually managed to get Kryn to quote a metal song.
Yes.
Yeah, you feel as though you've been trapped under ice.
I've been in a shield. I've been in a bubble. It's just been locking. It's been pressurized. And just
you've got the sickness, man.
Down and down and down.
Yeah. Well, you could pray for servers to get better, but that's the day that never comes.
I don't know how the servers are going to work or not. Like, I don't know what was up with it. It works for Bill. It took him, 5-6 seconds for you to load the game up?
Yeah, every day. You turn the game on, 5-6 seconds later, boom, you get the loading screen, everything would pop up. It
and then
fun.
How long did it take you, Jake, for
A
BlueStacks?
minute? 3 seconds, if that.
Yeah, no, I got none of that. Not even close. I was sitting there fucking half hour. Literally, I was on the John, and the only time I could play this fucking game at work was literally during my lunch break or on the John. And literally, I had no choice. I had to wait and stare at the screen and stare at the screen
Were you using the mobile network or were you using your company's network?
I mean, on occasion I would use the Wi-Fi at work. I wasn't using the network or nothing. It was just literally just.
And it was the same on both.
Yeah.
See, yeah, you must be like.
Even here at my house, it was probably like a microfraction faster. But it's just like that doesn't matter. Like it still took forever to load.
You must be some distance from the Square Enix server then that supplied King's Knight to you.
Like I must be on the wrong side of the planet because I've been having the same conversation with a couple people from FF14 in Seattle because this town has pissed me off. There's nothing good about this town for connection, man.
It must be it because if you're far away from the server, it's got a lot of
$15 an hour minimum wage.
Yeah, it's got a lot of hops to make.
Oh my god, I need that so bad. Like I'm trying so hard, but like just working like every day, I can't put any more into words of how pissed off I was about trying to load this game. This game loading time for me, if you lived in the East Coast, was dog shit. It's just dog shit. Like it just as
much dog shit as the thing not loading on your phone, knowing the thing could be run on like a fucking flip phone and it still doesn't show up on your installs. So you have to install BlueStacks. I think that's just as bad.
At least yours ran in 3 seconds.
Who has a flip phone?
I'm saying that's what this game is capable of being run under. But for some reason, you must need an iPhone 10.
Oh, well, I have an iPhone 6 and it runs.
Yeah, I've got a 6S, same as Corinne. It was fine.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah. So.
Whoever built it that said you are required 4 gig of RAM for this game.
Yeah, I don't know what this game's specs were designed for because I don't think they tell you what the prominent game thing is. They're supposed to accommodate it for the fastest processing computer, and apparently, for me, the 6, because I don't have a 6S unlike Bill, I have a 6.
Yeah, but the 6S just has like a different screen. It's got the 3D touch feature. That's it. I don't think there's any more processor in.
Or you children in your toys.
Hey, it's a work phone. It's a free phone.
But still, like I'm probably gonna have to buy a new phone for this very purpose. If this is gonna be a constant problem for me, I gotta get a new phone.
No, you're just loading BlueStacks. Not paid for no new phone.
Well,
I'll probably buy a new phone, probably, but that's gonna be me because like the server time should not be an issue for any game. You should not have to wait an hour.
Right, that'd be the server and the ping between the two connections. Getting a new phone isn't gonna fix that.
Let me get my mUFF consumption catalog up, and we'll have a look to see if there's anything else that might challenge your phone, Crinitor.
Record keeper, and it has nothing to do with the phone. It has everything to do with the connection. I personally started it, guys. I need quit because of that. All right.
When you guys were playing Brave Exvius, did it load up like super fast for you, or did it just?
Yeah.
I found there occasionally with Brave Exvius, if they had a big update, that took a while. But most of the time it was fairly quick. I did find King's Knight quicker than Brave Exvius, but I think that's because it was a more simplistic game to try and load.
Yeah, even with Brave Exvius, it just my phone doesn't want to load it fast enough. And I understand there were some that had updates and it was a little bit longer than normal, but
I mean, you guys have both played Mobius as well, haven't you? What platform are you playing it on?
I have it on the phone, and Mobius loads faster than King's Knight.
So it must have something to do then with the third party that Square have hired to build these games. So it mustn't be Square Enix's servers, because obviously Square Enix have got, as you said before, Final Fantasy 14. They're hosting that all over the world, and it pretty much doesn't matter where you are. That runs pretty well.
Yeah, because I'll connect to that no problem. It takes literally the worst I've ever had a load time was depending on the server I connected to, it would take up to at maximum 5 minutes.
Yeah, so Square Enix have obviously got they've got their data centers. They've got their data centers lined up all over the world. It must be whoever they're hosting it through. So when you get the little adverts telling you, the 6 different companies that are involved with the game when you first load it up, must be one of them is hosting it somewhere. And unfortunately, Corinne, you must have just been really far away from the local host server.
I must be, because this wait time was bogus. This is no reason it should be this bad. Like my review for this thing is far lower in the gutter because of this load time.
Yeah, see, I thought it was okay. I smashed through the game. Didn't take me very long. The actual fighting bits were semi-fun. Like,
I was actually kind of enjoyed some of the parts of the game. Like, I enjoyed a little bit of the challenge, the fact that you autopilot didn't solve all your problems, but at least it got you through a lot of the game. Autopilot, I was actually okay with the autopilot, and I was okay with the way the challenge of the game was. Like the chariot fight, I'm actually okay with it. It actually made it hard for a little bit. And I actually like that, trying to solve the problem of like, okay, I need to go back and grind, need to figure stuff out, and go back and play. Sure. But honestly, like, why do I have to wait 2 hours to go and fight one guy?
Yeah.
That's literally a 5-minute fight. 2 hours wait time for a 5-minute fight. This doesn't work for me.
I'm thinking you're probably going to be okay with Record Keeper, Mobius, and Opera Omnia. Oh, God, I can't even say that. Whatever that one is. But I imagine New Empire might be a bit of a struggle. But then the way the Final Fantasy 15 games are going, God knows how long that's going to last for until they shut it down.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm already getting their little the ad for it, and it loads. But I don't know how long the loading of the full game will be, because it might take forever to load a full tower defense game.
I'm just opening in now. Loading 56%. 57, 60. Yeah, I haven't opened this for a while, so I assume it's going to take a little bit longer than normal. But it still works.
But you've made it to the boot screen all the way up to the menu?
No, not yet. Nearly there. Nearly. Starting game. There we go. I'm there. Oh,
okay,
apparently
so
I played this before.
Hopefully I'm going to be...
level 3. Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've had pre-plans for the end of this episode that I got to bolt out of here. Going to go see Hereditary this week for some of my friends.
That's cool. So, you've had your rant about load times. What do you guys think of the music?
Some of it was okay. A lot of it was cheesy. A lot of it was cheesy and not really memorable.
Mute. I listen to other things. I knew this was not going to go anywhere. Really,
the one I didn't like, the one I hated the most was the load time screen, because that one had the same song and it was so fucking depressing.
Yeah, I didn't really think much of the music. It was kind of just like, the standard questing happy music sort of stuff. But it was rather annoying. I
must have repressed it from memory.
No, he had it on mute.
Yep. So I didn't think there was much variety in the soundtrack either. Like I would turn it on to hear another song and be like, oh, it's the same thing. Oh, it's the same thing. Oh, it's the same thing. Like I will listen to a track for the first time when I'm into a new area or something else is going on. But that didn't happen at all. Because I was looking into this and online stuff, and it seems there's only like 7 tracks that I can count.
Oh.
It's not much. It's
not much at all, because it's a very tiny game.
It
Yeah.
is very tiny. It was also made by a small studio. There's just not really a lot of information out there about it. But there just didn't seem to really be any music in the game at all.
No. I was trying to load up the loading screen song, but apparently it's so hated nobody wanted to load it.
No, it exists.
So what about so basically none of us have got anything to say much on music.
Trash.
Not the greatest soundtrack.
No, probably not.
So Legacy?
Would I go back and play it? No.
Well, you can't.
No, I can't. No, you can't. But if
the legacy is there's a reason the servers are fucking shut down.
Yes. I imagine, I think I would have hated it equally as much as you did, Jake, if I'd have played it on BlueStacks. This was a game that you had to play on. It was a game you had to play on your phone. Unfortunately, again, as Quinatal said, he had loading problems. If there wasn't loading problems, this game isn't that bad. Do you know? Compared to some of the games we played, I mean...
Like, if this was a controller game and I actually had function to, like, an analog stick and I moved it like a fighter jet, sure, this would actually be pretty fun. This would be like a top-down shooter. It'd be like playing Galaga or Falcon 2 or...
Or King's Knight.
Gradius, yes.
the original NES King's Knight.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that bad. That's my overall impression of this game. I thought it was actually all right. It was fun to play. It was a lot It was a lot better than Dimensions 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it was better.
I'd
almost say it was better than All the Bravest as well.
I'm not going to discount that. It's always better than All the Bravest.
Yeah, I liked it.
$22.
27.
28.
Keeps going up every time.
13, 44, 55.
Yeah, no, it's 28. It's always 28.
For the record, it was $28.50.
We must. Hey, we got to see the invoice for that. Otherwise, it just doesn't count.
On next episode, I'll find it.
I think so other than the fact that none of us are going to be able to replay it, it is a better game than Dimensions 2. The only legacy that this game will hold is that some of the characters have now been imported into Brave Exvius.
What the fuck?
Yep, so that was like 2 days before the servers were shut down as well, so it was just a final little nod to the fact that this game did exist at some point in time and that you could play it. So
I've
now,
also heard some of the bosses are put in there too as optional characters to fight.
So they've added some extra raid content for it then.
Yeah, Gargoyle, and I think Tolfadan's in there, and I think like one of they're recharacterized, remapped, but it's essentially the same character. They're trying to give like a tiny bit of legacy left for the game to see if anybody else will play it.
Oh god!
So the only remaining legacy is within Brave Exvius. If people pull the characters, they will go, "Who the fuck is that?" And then I'll have to Google it, and they'll see there was a game that once existed that they can never play.
And it will show the further tainting and the unnecessariness that is the 15 universe.
Wait until you play. Wait until you play the tower defense game.
Why am I doing this, guys? Why?
I'm beginning to question that.
Like the 15 universe, I just feel is still unfinished. It has like half of a game. Like it's not fully fleshed out enough. Like it has a good story for the one game. If it had nothing else, no movie, no mini game, no cell phone game, no tower defense.
You would be just as confused without those things.
No, like the decent story. Like it actually had a beginning, middle, and end, but half the world is missing.
Yeah, Brotherhood was good.
Well, actually, if you look at empirical data, an entire world is missing in the game.
Yeah.
Not half a world grid. An entire world. An entire continent.
They cut it out.
Yeah. Until it comes out, I'm not going to call it a complete game.
They opened it like a fish and they took that continent away.
So is there anything else you guys want to talk about this game? Because I'm pretty much out of rants. Like
yeah, I mean, now that it's shut down, there's nothing else we can say about it. The game is dead.
If you guys could give this thing like a rating out of 1 out of 10, what would you give it?
5.
I'd give it 3. Okay.
3. Location. Yeah. Need to move closer.
Server time.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much wraps up King's Night Wrath of the Dragon.
Yes,
if you want to play this game,
you'll have to go. That's actually better.
Yep. If you want to play this game, you'll have to go back to playing the NES game, which is
watch walkthroughs online. I'm sure somebody has at least 5 minutes, or just rewatch the trailer over it again.
Yeah. But yeah, the NES game's all right. That's worth a playthrough if you fancy it. It's exactly the same as what the game was like, but the game was in 3D and had some extra little side elements to it, and a much longer story, which was pointless.
Alrighty.
So next up, guys, for us on the mUFF train.
So do you currently on? It's going to be before Crisis, or do you all want to move on to something else?
No, let's treat ourselves to before Crisis. So I'll tweet out at some point the link in case anyone at home fancies playing along with us. Hopefully this should be better than the other stuff we've been playing recently.
In this game, I've tried opening this game on the phone. It still redirects me to the PC. Is it safe to download on the phone and play it there, or is it only available play?
It's, as far as I'm aware, it's only available on the PC. It's just an exe file. So you download the folder, open it up, run the exe file, and then the game runs on your PC.
Okay. This is a program. I don't want to sit there and have more loading times for server connections.
No, this is a complete game on its own. So someone out there who originally, I can't remember which forums it was, but it was the UFF forums many years ago, maybe one or two. Guy posted it on there. He said, I created this a few years back. I recreated the entire game with the translation. And it looks pretty, if you look at videos of the Japanese version on the phones and you look at the version we're going to be playing, they are exactly the same.
I did also hear that this game was actually made almost entirely on RPG Maker 2003.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
I thought that was a fantastically outstanding that you could actually make a cell phone game almost entirely with a Steam portable RPG Maker, because a lot of them are out now that you could actually make full-fledged games. And if this game is actually as good and actually decent, heck, I might even throw myself in the ring for trying to make a cell phone game.
All right, guys. I think that might wrap us up this time.
All right.
Yeah, I think it will. So, yeah. Play along with Before Crisis. I'll tweet out the link to it. It was made by a guy called Richard W. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look forward to seeing you guys again. And I got to run because I got a bajillion things to do.
Yeah, same here. Happy Traitors Day, guys.
America!
England. Enjoy it, guys. Muff out.